Hello and Happy New Year and welcome to the first Stampers Delight Card Club of the year. It's January and we are featuring the Bright Days stamp set this month. This is quite hidden in the new catalogue. Obviously, hopefully you've had a little peruse of this brand new catalogue, but it's found on page 51 and you can see that it has coordinating dies which are absolutely amazing. I absolutely love them. I've played a lot with these already. I just love the sort of fun, bright, happy sort of images in this, the weather themed bits and pieces. Really, really good for sending someone to brighten their day. So that's why I've chosen that for January, because obviously it's a very, a very dull and dreary month usually. So I thought this would be perfect. I've also been able to get you an extra bonus little product in your kit because Stampin' Up have the Celebration promotion on at the moment. It runs from January to February, so there's a month left to take advantage of this promotion. But these items in this little brochure here are free with a purchase. So the papers are free with a £45 purchase. I was able to get half a pack for everybody to pop in their boxes, so that's always nice to have a little something extra in your kit. But this is definitely worth a little look through because there's lots of lovely papers and stamps and all sorts in here that you can choose for free when you make your purchases from this catalogue or the annual catalogue. So do let me know if you need anything. In your kit this month, you've obviously got your card kits, 4 of those. We have the Raindrops Embossing folder. This is a really cute one and it goes really well with this set and lots of other sets as well, so I'm sure you'll be using this lots. You've got some of the Pool Party ribbon, it's half a reel, and the loose silver sequins. Some bits of card. This piece of Pool Party is to create one of your card bases, and some extra bits for stamping onto if you do have the stamp set, which I'll show you in a second. Little treat. You may have some of these in your kit. I did message everyone to see if they had these foam strips. You need some of these foam strips. So if they're not in the box, then you'll need to go and find yours for one of the projects. Then you've got the papers. So these are the lovely papers. So they coordinate really well with the bundle that we're using this month, but there's lots of other lovely designs for you to craft with after the class as well. So you've got some of the clouds and sunshine and rainbows and lovely patterns on that side, and some bolder florals and fruits on this side too. So we're actually going to be cutting some of these clouds out for one of the cards. So this is the bundle that we're featuring this month, called the Bright Skies bundle, and the dies, I've done some die cutting for you in the kits, but not all of it. So if you don't have this set, then you may just have to sort of tweak the designs very slightly. Ideally you'd have some kind of sun stamp because we'll be using that one. So these are the ink colours that I'm going to be using today. It's mainly Pool Party and Crush Curry. And I'm also using basic grey instead of black for my sentiments because it's a little bit softer. I think it works better. But you can use black. And then I'm adding in Poppy Parade, Shaded Spruce and Petal Pink for one of the cards as well. But I think you can get away with most greens or reds. Another couple of items that you'll need, a single hole punch or a stapler, and a circle punch or a circle die. This is a 1 3/4 circle punch, but you can use a smaller one than that if you have a smaller one. So here we have the 4 card designs. We've got 2 interactive cards, a fancy fold and a fairly simple card. This one is one of the interactive cards. It is a pocket slider card. We've got the sun coming out from behind the clouds and a little message on this pull-out piece. We've got a nice simple shaker card. And then we've got this one, which is fairly simple. We've got the embossed background and 4 strips of the lovely Designer Series paper. And then this one is a fancy fold. I can't remember what it's called, but it's like a book with 3 different pages. It's actually created using a piece of designer series paper rather than a card base. And then you've got these 3 panels that you can actually stamp anything you like on, and just create your own designs for each of those 3 leaves. So this is the first card, and I'll show you what you need for that. So you need the A4 piece of Pool Party, and I'm going to show you how to cut and score for both of these pocket card bases. And you've also got some die cut bits and pieces, some clouds and a sun, and then you've got some of this white baker's twine as well. You will also need to cut yourself some white cardstock, which I forgot to include, I'm really sorry, which is this pull-out piece here. So this measures 9.5 centimetres by 11, and this little piece here measures 1.5 centimetres by 7. So you'll need to cut yourself 2 lots of these pieces here. I'm going to start with the A4 sheet of cardstock, and this is in the trimmer with the short edge along the top, so it's portrait. And I'm going to score all the way down at 10 centimetres and 20 centimetres. Now rotate so that the long edge is on along the top, and you're going to cut 2 pieces at 14 centimetres. So now you have 2 identical card bases, and you're just going to fold them like this. Your card is a little bit smaller than a standard card. This is because I wanted to be able to get 2 out of 1 sheet and be really frugal, but also I wanted it to be a little bit shorter so that the ribbon sticking out didn't hinder it going into the envelope. So it's a little bit narrow and a little bit shorter than a standard card base, but still a really good size. So first of all, we need to decorate the front of this with some of our designer series paper, and I'm using this one. You can use any one you like, but I'm just going to cut a 9.5 centimetre strip vertically on this one, and then I'm going to cut at 13.5, and that'll go on 1 card, and then I'm going to cut the bottom off this one to make it 13.5 again. So one of them will have the raindrops on and the other one will just be clouds, but I quite like the variation. So with the 1 centimetre tab down the right hand side, just glue that piece of paper on the next section next to the tab, like that. And then take your circle punch, and you want to punch just a little half circle, just a little bit out of the top of that. So line it up as best you can in the centre, just take a little nibble out, doesn't have to be much. Like that. Okay, now we have to make a little cut with the trimmer. You can use a craft knife and a ruler if you prefer, but it's easier just to do it on the trimmer, especially if you have a trimmer that's got the measurements on the arm, and it may be in inches or it may be metric like mine. So we need to turn it upside down, put it in the trimmer and line it up with 5 centimetres, and then we're going to move the trimmer blade down to 6 centimetres, and then we're going to cut to about 11.5. So it's about 2 to 2.5 centimetres from the end, from the edge. Doesn't really have to be accurate, but you don't want to go too high up because you don't want it to connect with the cutout. but you've got a piece, you've got a cut that measures around 5.5 to 6 centimetres there. Okay, so now we bring in these two pieces, and the first thing we have to do is slide this piece in from this direction, from the right. Slide it down to the bottom, make sure it's fairly straight, and then you get a little bit sticking out there. You just don't want it to overlap this fold, and you only need a little piece like that sticking out, probably not even that much. I'd say about 1 centimetre sticking out, and it's at the bottom edge of the slit. Okay, so when you know it's pretty lined up and only a little piece sticking out, you put glue on it. Use normal glue or tear and tape. And now you take this white piece, you need to line it up so that it's in the centre between these two score lines, and this top edge lines up with this top edge. So just carefully lay it down and it will stick to that tab, that strip. Just make sure it's really well stuck. Now when you turn it over, what you're going to have is something that will slide up and down. So now you can fold this tab over. I'm going to use some tape actually because I want it to be nice and strong. So I'm going to use tape and glue this down over the top. So that's the back of the card. This is the front, and you've got this mechanism now. So I'm going to attach my sun. I won't use a dimensional, I'm going to use a tear and tape because I don't want it to stick out too much, because it needs to be able to go behind the cloud. So I'm going to take my sun pieces, a die cut, and then just glue that over the top. I'm going to stamp my sentiment on this large cloud first of all. And I'm going to position it so that it hides the sun, and I need to use dimensionals to make this stand up, and I'm using double dimensionals, so I don't want it to restrict the sun, so you don't want it to be too close, but you should have room just on this side of it to stack 2 dimensionals on top of each other there. And then I'm just going to put them on this one side, and then I want to put some more just on this side of the sun to keep it lifted, but I don't want it to show, so just carefully position your cloud and just test where you want those double dimensionals. So stick that on, make sure it's well secure, and then test it. Now you can stick the other clouds on wherever you like. You'll need double dimensionals to go overlapping this one. And then you can use glue. You don't want anything up here to restrict that sun's movement, so make sure this is really flat. In fact, I'll put that one there, put this smaller one there. Just test that again. This one's restricting it a bit, so get that really flat. That should be fine. So you can keep testing it. So now, if we make a mark just where we want to put a hole, and then get your hole punch. Take some of your ribbon. And then use a little bit of your baker's twine just to tie a knot or a bow around this. Or you could just do like a loop like you would do with a gift tag with your ribbon. I'm going to carefully stamp this with a different sentiment. You can choose one that you like from any set. I quite like this, sending love and best wishes. Now you might be wondering how I got the little face on that sun there. Well, I've got a stamp for that. It's from the Taco Fiesta stamp set, so there's lots of little cute faces that you can choose from, and they go perfectly on these little suns and clouds, and really fun to do that. So last thing is just get a little bit of sparkle on. I'm using the sequins for this. The best way to do this, I've found, is just to put tiny little spots of glue, little dots. Make sure that you're not restricting that sun's movement, so just again stay clear of that. So I've got some little dots of glue, and I'm using my Take Your Pick tool to pick up the sequins and just drop them on those glue dots. You barely want to touch them. They look like little raindrops in the sky. Very effective. So that is card number 1. So on to card number 2, and this is the shaker card. We've got a standard white card base. We've got a piece of Pool Party, which is 10 centimetres by 14.3. We've got a white piece, which is 9 centimetres by 13.8, and I've die cut the large cloud from that already. I've given you the cutout as well, so we're not using this on any particular card, but you've got this to use for however you like. And then we've got a piece of the window sheet. This is cut very slightly smaller than the white piece, so just a couple of millimetres smaller, because you are going to want to glue that onto the back of your white piece. So we'll do that now, just so that it can dry. So you just put a little bit of glue around the edge and lay that window sheet on so that it doesn't overhang. If it does overhang a little bit, just take your scissors once it's dry and just give it a trim. So just put that to one side. We're going to stamp our Pool Party piece. I'm going to use the raindrops just to make a little design. And then we're going to stamp a sentiment over the top. So grab your Pool Party ink. I'm just going to stamp a repeating pattern just in the centre of that. And then I really love this Sprinkled with Love stamp with a darker colour ink over the top. It's right in the centre, so we can glue this onto the front of the card. I'll keep it flat for now. And now take your window, flip it over, and then you want your foam strips. And just go around following the pattern of the cloud. You don't need to go too close to the edge, but just sort of follow it roughly round. Just make sure there are no gaps if you have to connect your strips. And then also put a few bits of the strips in each corner so that it offers the support that it needs all the way round. And then peel off all the backings. Okay, all the backings are peeled off, so that's ready, and we just need to add our sprinkles on top of this. And I've left it flat, the card, so that it's as flat as I can get it on the table. I'm going to make a little pile of these sprinkles right in the centre, just covering that sentiment. Just flatten it down a little bit if you don't want it too heaped. Put as many as you want in, and then you can add your window on top. Just centre it in the blue, lay it down carefully, and then there's your lovely sprinkles. Some of them might statically cling to the window sheet, but I don't mind that. I've cut out some clouds and I'm going to stamp one of the lovely little suns. I've got my crushed curry ink, and I'll just do a couple of these. And then you can fussy cut or use the die to cut those out. So I've got my sun, and I can attach all of these now with foam pads. And then I'm going to add just a few more of the sprinkles. And that's card number 2. So this is card number 3, and you've got a white card base. You've got a piece of white card that's 10 centimetres by 14.3. This bit we're going to emboss, so we'll do that now. This obviously is the Raindrops embossing folder. So pop your card in. And then if you've got the cut and emboss machine, the sandwich that you need is the base plate number 1, your first clear plate, then the embossing folder, and then the top clear plate. But if you're using a different die cutting machine, then you just experiment with whichever sandwich that works best. It's not a 3D embossing folder, it's just a standard size embossing folder. This is what it looks like when it's done. If you wanted to, you could sponge a little bit of colour on here, or use a blending brush to brush some colour on, but I quite like it just white on white, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to glue that down straight onto my card base. And then you need to find some strips of the papers. So I'm going to cut these down to about 2 centimetres wide. It doesn't really matter whether it's a little bit bigger or a little bit smaller than that. Just use whatever scraps you've got. And they are also about 10 centimetres or so long as well. So again, it doesn't really matter for this how big they are. They can be a little bit varied as well. So I've got some of these patterns that I've already cut, so I'm just going to cut these down. If you wanted to, you could actually tear the ends just to give it a little bit more texture. So we've got those, and then I'll just get a little bit more of the rainbows. So 2 centimetres by 10, and then I've got my 4 little strips ready there. So I've also got some of my die cut clouds here, and I'm going to stamp a small sentiment onto the larger of the two. I'm actually using one from a different set again. This is from the Irresistible Blooms stamp set, which is the perfect size for this little cloud, so I'm sure you've got something suitable. Now I'm just going to randomly glue these down onto the front of the card. Just going to do them a bit wonky. Some of them a little bit higher than others. Just so that I get a bit of variety and it's not too perfect. I'm going to take a little bit of tear and tape and put a little bit down there because I want some ribbon. I'm going to cut myself a loop of ribbon. I've actually just got enough here. Just do a little loop like so. Just use a little bit more tape if you need to. And then you've got your clouds, and I've also got the sun that I stamped earlier, but I've done another one where I've stamped using the crushed curry ink onto crushed curry cardstock, so you can decide which one you prefer. And then just get these stuck on with the foam pads. And just a few of the little sparkles, sequins. And that is card number 3. So for this final card, which is the fancy fold, you're going to need some designer series paper, which we'll cut, and I'll show you how to score that. And then you've got these panels that I've cut for you. I've done 2 colourways, the shaded spruce and the poppy parade, and then you've got the white panels as well. So you've got 3 whites for each card, 3 poppy parade and 3 shaded spruce. So you can choose different colours of the designer series paper to coordinate with that. So that's the shaded spruce themed one that I did earlier. And now I'm going to try one of the poppy parade designs. I really like this one with the poppy parade and the pool party on the other side, so I'll try that one. So what you need to do, if you've got a pattern, a direction, so that's facing up, you need to flip it around so that it's sideways, and then cut at 14.8, which is the size of a standard card height, and then trim that down to 28 centimetres long. So this is 14.8 centimetres by 28 centimetres, and the direction of your pattern is like this. So the first score line we need to do is at 3.5. In fact, I've got them written down here just so that you can see them. 3.5, then 10.5, then 17.5. Just be careful when you're scoring on the paper because you're used to being a little bit more heavy on the cardstock, but you don't need to be quite as heavy on the paper. So that was 3.5, 10.5 and 17.5. So that will fold up like so. So just concertina fold these. So that's what it looks like. And you can give them a nice press in with your bone folder just to make sure it all folds nicely. So you can see that mine is glued just in there. So those 7 centimetre panels are glued shut so that the card opens like that. So it becomes like a little page. But you can leave it open so that your card will open out like that. So I'll leave this one unglued so you can see the difference and see which you prefer. So once that card base is done, we just need to focus on our panels. So I've got 3 white panels that I'm going to design and the 3 Poppy Parade bases. It's up to you what you do on here. So I've done 3 different designs there just as examples, and I'm going to just glue these down. I quite like this one as well because I've left some white space there which would be perfect for writing your little message in. And now we have to glue these in place. So decide which one will be your front panel, your second and your third. So my third one I am going to glue right in the centre. Just going to do it by eye, but I'm just going to try and get that lined up right in the centre of that back panel. And then fold this one down. And your next one will glue right over the top so it covers that panel at the back. But just be careful where you put your glue because you don't want any glue overhanging. So I'm going to put glue just on this half, just over half. And get it lined up with that first panel. Fold this one down, and again we want to glue that just so that it covers those 2 panels. And again, your glue is only on this very small edge there. Just be careful where you put your glue. Get that lined up. Press it down really well. And now this is how your card goes. So you can either have it sort of coming all the way out like that and closing up like that, or you can have it so that you turn the pages, if that makes sense. It feels more like you're turning pages, whereas this one opens right out, and actually probably stand up better, this one. Let's see. Oh no, they both stand up pretty well. They just look different, so it's up to you how you do those ones. And that's your final card. And there's all our collection of lovely cards made. I hope it's given you some ideas and you've had fun making some of these elements. I'm sure you have ideas for how you could use this style of card with some of the other stamps and dies that you might have at home. So as always, I'd love to see your finished projects, and please let me know if you have any questions. Can't wait to see you next month. Bye bye.